What is up, gamers? We all know the game Five Nights at Freddy's 2, right? Well, to most people, it's just a mindless horror game based on luck and cheap jump scares. But there's so much more to it than that. The gameplay requires mastery of controls, memorization of all the mechanics, the multiple threats coming at you all at once, managing your time, and working under high stress with consequences if you can't handle it. Today, I'm going to walk you through the gameplay and how it really isn't just mindless gameplay. Let's go over the controls first. I play with the PS5, so I won't really go over the controls too much. Once you've entered the realm, you've got your simple features. Turn left and right with your Joy-Con. You're limited to the simple motion of just left and right, which will still be a ton of work the further you get into the game, making you wish you had more and faster motion to keep up with all the chaos. You've got your flashlight button, triangle, L1 and R1 for the left and right vents, square for the Freddy mask to disguise yourself from the animatronics. Instead of Foxy, he knows who you are. X is to use the cameras, where the Joy-Con is used to switch between cams, and the flashlight is still triangle. And circle to wind the music box. You can change the controls to whatever configuration you want by going to settings. If you use these strategically, being able to defend yourself against the animatronics, you should be home free. But here's the thing, strategy. Fnaf 2 consists of withered animatronics, Freddy, who comes at you head-on, Bonnie, who goes through the left vent, Chica, who goes through the right vent, and Foxy, who can't be warded off with a mask. Instead, you have to flash your light at him to get him to go away. In fact, if you try to use the mask on him, he'll basically kill you instantly. You're also faced with 6 toy animatronics. Toy Freddy, same mechanics as Freddy. Toy Bonnie, same mechanics as Withered Bonnie. Toy Chica, same mechanics as Withered Chica. Mangle, basically the same as Foxy and Chica, who comes at you from the right vent, and if you ignore him and don't put on your mask in time, he'll enter your office and wait to kill you. Balloon Boy, who comes at you through the left vent, and if you ignore him, he will immediately enter your office the second you flip up the cams, laughing at you as you can no longer use your hallway light, making Foxy kill you. And this is unavoidable once Balloon Boy enters your office. And we've got the puppet, who is trapped in the big presence, and if the music box runs out, the puppet will escape and make her way to you, making death a guarantee. We haven't even talked about Shadow Bonnie and Golden Freddy, who you basically should just kind of hide immediately, either using cams or the mask, preferably the mask so you know if they're gone. Given that information, we can finally get into the strategy of the game, and how FNAF in general isn't just mindless gameplay. The Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is probably the best example in the original games that display a heavy requirement for strategy, working under stress, perseverance, patience, and trial and error. Given the gameplay is just you sitting in a desk chair with nowhere to go and nowhere to hide, all 10 animatronics can and will come after you, and the stress is already enough to cause stupid mistakes in your gameplay, making your actions erratic and spontaneous, almost random, and some could directly be the reason you fail. And then you come face to face with them, how much bigger and taller and more terrifying they truly are up close, something other FNAF games don't really get to show you until VR, Security Breach, or the Mimic. This shows us how we really are, and the sheer fact that there aren't any doors to protect us, and Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Mangle coming as close as right beyond the desk, that adds that pressure. You will mess up with the stress. As someone who's made many videos of gameplay of this game, I have made those mistakes because of the shock and how close they get. You are going to screw up, and I mean a ton. I spent almost 8 hours total trying to beat the 1020 mode and have only gotten to 5 AM. It's annoying. What the fuck? And now back to the show. But you have to keep going. Night 6 sucked, but I got through it. It requires patience with yourself and giving yourself grace. There's too many animatronics in this game. There will be some rounds that are just straight up impossible to win. No one strategy will get you all the way through consistently. Having multiple strategies is incredibly helpful as the animatronics get faster and more aggressive as nights go on. Now let's get into the strategy of Fnaf 2. There's one that I typically try to use, but you'll have to adapt as the nights go on. It all involves how much time you spend on the music box. So as you start the nights, you start with yourself facing forward toward the hallway. Don't do anything, because as long as phone guy is talking, the animatronics aren't going to move till the later nights, where they can sometimes at the very end of the call. That's where the cameras come in. You'll keep the cameras on either the left or right vent to see who's in the vents and how you can adapt and move on with it. Because if it's Balloon Boy, who doesn't show up until later nights, will come in and you're screwed. My recommendation is, even in the earlier nights, just keep the cameras on the music box to keep you from having to waste time flipping between cams and letting the animatronics come to you. Checking the cameras in the FNAF games is almost rendered completely useless in later nights and only used as a tool as you get used to the games and the mechanics of multiple animatronics coming after you. So it's best to just keep your cam at the music box so you can flip up the cameras and immediately start winding it up without wasting any other time. On earlier nights, as animatronics are fewer numbers and slower and less aggressive, you can easily get away with winding the music box fully and then going back to the original animatronics. The few times you shouldn't flip up your cams is when you can visibly see the animatronic in the vents, because 9 times out of 10, that'll lead to your death. Unless it's like 10-20 mode or something, and another animatronic, whether Bonnie or whether Chica, tears down your cams, forcing you to immediately put up your mask. That could ward off the animatronic directly in front of you and the one in the vents. But like that's only happened to me a few times when done right, and it does feel pretty cool, but it's not worth the risk. You also shouldn't flip it up when there's an animatronic directly in front of you. And I don't mean like standing at the doorway, like Freddy. You'll get away with that. I mean like when you can smell their fast breath through the screen in your face. And definitely don't put on the mask if Foxy's down the hallway. You've got to flash your flashlight at him really quickly until he goes away. Or if you're on the PS5, around 5 to 10 times, because it won't show that he left until you bring up cams and it reloads the hallway. It's weird. Anyway, sorry, back to the gameplay. So once the call ends, it's time to get to work. Check on the animatronics on the main stage and see if they're still there. If they aren't, switch to the music box and stick there for the rest of the night. Get into the loop of flash your camera down the main hallway, check left vent, go back to hallway, right vents, hallway again, and then check cams to wind the music box. If it's the earlier nights, wind it all the way. If it's like the middle nights, wind it about 3/4 of the way. And on the very last nights, try to just fill it up barely halfway, and if you can get away with it, 3/4, and if you're really feeling lucky, all the way. The one constant should be that before the animatronics start picking up the pace in the night, keep the music box fully wound up to keep your chances high of not running out, because you know what'll happen. And try to stay in that loop as much as humanly possible. And if you end up losing some time, compromise the music box. Wind it up only halfway and continue with the strategy to keep up with the upcoming animatronics. Then push it later, trying to get the music box full again. You can also go with a strategy where you push the animatronics. You keep winding the music box until whether Bonnie or whether Chica tear down your cameras on their own, which then forces you to put on your mask, giving you as much time as possible. But beware of Foxy, because Foxy will spawn in if that happens. And if he doesn't, he's really close too. The animatronics have their respective mechanics, but given the amount of them, it's basically completely randomized. And always make sure, especially in late nights, that before you pull up the cams, use your flashlight on the hallway a few times to keep Foxy from coming at you while you're occupied. Even if he isn't there, trust me, he's waiting. This will also help if you get caught in a pickle when you pull down the cams and there's another animatronic waiting for you. It'll slow you down, but make Foxy less of a threat in the long run. Again, this strategy mostly works in earlier nights and works pretty well in night 6 and has gotten me to 5 AM consistently in night 7, 10-20 mode. But because of the sheer randomness of the later nights, no one strategy will work for you all the time, which is the frustrating part about this game. It requires the skill of following a solid strategy and then being able to improvise and try to get back to the main strategy. And sometimes even that won't work. Now for our final portion of the video. How stress games like this help you in the real world. According to morbidlybeautiful.com, research from the American Psychological Association and academic journals suggests that horror games may serve as a form of exposure therapy, helping players manage symptoms like PTSD, phobias, and general anxiety. The repetition of stressful scenarios in a safe, virtual space allows players to rewire their responses to real-life stressors. And as we described before, Fnaf in general, especially Fnaf 2, it puts you in a constant state of panic and anxiety, forcing you to work, and work well, under high-stress environments and situations. I've seen videos and papers where they argue that a nice lesson you learn from Fnaf story is letting go, and moving past your trauma. Henry Emily's speech at the end of FNAF 6 does help with that point.
Interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name. But I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
The article goes on to state, psychological studies have shown that games with high cognitive demands can improve executive functioning, including memory, multitasking, and spatial awareness. Games that test your reflexes, how well you work under stress, are incredibly good for you. It's almost like playing chess, but really high stakes chess. And basically how to persevere and just get really good at being consistent, but also being able to adjust on the fly. And also under some really stressful environments. Because I'm pretty sure you guys don't want Freddy Fazbear breathing down your neck. Yeah, that's it for me. I'm tired. I want to go home. Wait, I am home. Hey, I'm home! I'm home!